What are those little signs that someone is lying to you? Find out the details here today on Jimmy Rants. Click on that little box down there in the corner. It'll take you straight to IGTV for today's episode. JimmyRants.com is the website, and as always, you can engage live in the content. You gotta go follow me. I'm over on Instagram. I am at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live. We are here Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, so thank you guys so much for being here today. We also go live over simulcast over on my Facebook channel. Thank you guys for being here today as well. Finally, over on my YouTube stream, thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. If you missed the live, we do put it up on replay for you. A lot of people watch the replay of Jimmy Rants. I know this is in the middle of the workday for the people on the East Coast and the West Coast. Some of them are just going to work. So on replay, thank you if you watch it there. It is up on IGTV, so go check it out right here on Instagram. We also put the past episodes up over on YouTube. If you type in a keyword Jimmy Rants, you will find the show. And then finally, pop on over to the official website for this show. It is JimmyRants.com. And once you're there, you can see all the past episodes. This just happens to be episode 600. So celebrating a pretty cool milestone here today on Jimmy Rants. Go watch those past episodes over there at the official website. And while you're there, you can support the work that I do here either through Patreon or PayPal, and a donation of any amount would be greatly appreciated. All of those links, you guys, JimmyRants.com. Okay, good morning, you guys. Hello, Lynn. I see you just popped in over on Facebook. I have a great topic to talk about today, because the topic I want to talk about today is a pet peeve of mine. If you want to get into the bad graces of Jimmy Moore, lie to me. I don't know what it is about somebody lying to me that just grates me to no end, but it does. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that. I don't think any of us like being lied to, especially when you're catching the person in the act of lying and you know they're lying. And so I want to talk about what the subtle signs are and what you should look for in people. Maybe you've never even paid attention when people are talking to you, or even if you're just watching someone on the television, seeing them speak in person where you can see facial expressions and things, or if it's a one-on-one kind of conversation. Start to look for some of these things we're going to talk about here today, because it's pretty amazing. Once you start to notice these things, it's hard not to see them again. Body language experts, I love watching those kinds of videos over on YouTube, where they'll take someone giving a speech, for example, or in some kind of a talk, and they'll look at their body language, not just what they say, but what they say with their body, with their little subtle, the eyebrows go up, the eyes dilate, but you're showing too much teeth for something to be really funny. It's really fascinating if you've never seen some of the body language videos over on YouTube, but it's definitely a sign someone's lying and or trying to hide something from you, which is another way of lying. So we're going to get into an article that I found about this over on romper.com, ROMPER.com, and it's the 34 little signs that someone is lying to you, because you'll definitely get lied to at some point. Let me give the caveat. We've all lied. Let's not pretend like we're all oh yes, I would never lie. No, we have all lied. And there could be an argument made of lying to not hurt a friend's feelings, lying to your kid to get them to do something that they need to get done. So there are, I guess, specified reasons why someone lying to you could be a not so bad thing. But there's some people, you guys, that are such liars that they're pathological about it. And you know these pathological liars, and they seem so nice, they seem so charming, they seem so normal, and yet they're sitting there lying to your face and smiling at you about it because they know they're getting away with it. So hopefully this article I'm going to read from will give you some things to look for. So let's get into the article. Everyone lies from time to time. Whether they're little lies to spare someone's feelings or full-on whoppers, it's hard to avoid them entirely. And since you know that pretty much everyone else eventually tells a lie, leaves information out of a discussion, or stretches the truth at least every once in a while, you might be interested in knowing about some of the little signs to look for when someone is lying to you. So one of the things I like to do is play Texas Hold'em. So I love, love, love that style of poker. And one of the hallmarks of being a good Texas Hold'em player is you need what they call a poker face. So they can't tell what you have. You could have pocket aces, which is a very good hand, by the way. The very best pre-flop hand you can have is pocket aces. And so you could have pocket aces, but you don't want to show it. In fact, you want to show weakness to your, maybe like a small bet that kind of fools them into not seeing the strength of your hand. And then when the flop comes, you hope some big cards like kings or other cards come out, so that the person that has maybe ace king thinks they have the big hand, and then you're sitting over there with pocket aces. Of course, they're blaring with big old bets with their pocket king or with their kings, with their ace king, and then you've got pocket aces. You've got the better hand. You just kind of casually call, and then on the next one you get an ace. So now they have aces and kings, but you have trip aces. So now you still have the strongest hand. They come out full bore, and at that point you go, okay, let's make them think I'm trying to buy this. You go over the top of them and re-raise them. And then they're like, wait a minute. He came in soft. He just called me. And now he's re-raising me. Is she trying to buy the pot? And then sometimes at that point, the guy with ace king will push all in. And of course, the pocket aces person will call and win the pot. Now, did he lie? Yeah. That's what the poker face is all about. And if he didn't have the pocket aces and the guy did fold and he had like some, Jack 7 or something, just totally lied, that's another lie. But that's within the context of a game. When you're talking to someone, that ain't no game. Unless it's agreed upon ahead of time. Okay, what we're about to do in conversation, it's not a real conversation. I'm just going to play games with you. So, if they said that, then you wouldn't be worried if they lied at you, because if you're just playing games, it's no big deal. So if you're just joining us, we are reading from an article about the subtle signs to look for in someone you suspect is lying to your face. So you pick up on the lies you recognize when you're being lied to. You don't want to be unknowingly lied to and manipulated, right? Though I suppose you'd probably just rather not be lied to at all for the most part, which I think most of us, and the way I began this Jimmy Rants is, I hate being lied to. Like, you can almost spit in my face. You can almost do anything else, but don't lie to me. I have a very difficult time with trusting people. And I think a lot of that has to do with the trauma that I had when I was a kid. And so it made it difficult for me to trust people. So I almost have to test that trust to see if you're going to lie to me. And then if you do, then I know I can't trust you. But if you do show yourself trustworthy, then I'm probably going to be your loyal friend for life. That's just the way I am. And I think most people are that way. Even still, knowing when someone might not be telling you the truth or giving you the whole story is a very useful skill to have. It helps you bypass all the BS and get to what's really going on. If you can't tell when someone might be lying to you, you might just accept what they're saying is absolutely true. Most of us do that. I think we give people too much of the benefit of the doubt. Now, if they're a trusted friend and you've known them for a long time and they've never lied to you and you've always had good conversations and a good relationship with them, you should trust pretty much on a constant basis what they say to you. But if it's just a casual acquaintance, maybe an occasional friend you talk to, you don't really know them that well, okay, that person you need to have your BS meter on a little bit, and you need to pay attention to some of these signs we're going to talk about here in a minute, because you do have a great propensity at that moment to fall susceptible to lying, without even thinking to ask more questions that could expose the lie. Don't give people that much benefit of the doubt. If you pay attention to what they're saying, how they're saying it, their body language, and the energy that they give off, you might be able to suss out whether or not someone is lying to you with plenty of time left to still call them out. Now, the purpose of this is not to just always call them out. Sometimes it's a mental note for you to go, okay, I can't trust this person. Do I really want this person in my life? Is this person adding value to me if I know they're lying to me? And most people, if they're honest with themselves, no. Those people don't add value. Those people are the leeches in your life. You have just so much emotional energy you can pour into someone. And a lot of people are invested in other people emotionally. I just had a wonderful conversation through DM this morning with one of my very best friends, and they're going through a tough time right now. And we have a mutual respect and appreciation for each other, and we don't hold back. And I trust that person, and that person trusts me. So that's the way a good relationship should be. Even when you say things that can be a little bit maybe like harsh, I guess, but it's harsh truth done in love, not someone who's lying to you. And when someone lies to you and breaks that trust, the first thing you think of is, okay, why did they feel like they needed to do that? It's a betrayal at some level. If you're just joining us, we are about to go over a total of 34 signs, very subtle little signs, but they're signs to look for in someone that you think might be lying to you. And so if you've got people in your life that you suspect of this, pay attention to today's Jimmy Rants, because this is some good stuff, you guys. Number 1, they repeat the questions back to you that you asked. Now, this is kind of funny, because I have interviewed thousands of people in my lifetime. Dust Storm over on YouTube says, how do you know that they're lying to you? Their lips are moving. You must be talking about politicians. Politicians, car salesmen, who are the lawyers. How do you know they're lying? Their lips are moving. Yes, that's the old adage joke. Thank you for that, Dust Storm. But yes, average people, it's not always their lips moving. But they repeat the question back to you. Do you know people that do that? Have you had people that you ask them a question and then they ask the question back as if to buy time? That's exactly what they're doing. If they repeat it back before they respond, they might be looking at it for a way to buy time. In the little bit of time it takes for them to parrot back that question to you, they're actually trying to come up with a response that will pass the muster, that hopefully won't invite more questions. So that's an interesting one. Have you ever had someone repeat back the question to you? It's a very popular tactic. I know when I've seen like reporters asking questions, and sometimes the person answering a question will ask the question back and then answer. So that's kind of interesting. I never really put 2 and 2 together that is a subtle form of lying. Number 2, they can't keep their story straight. Completely changing a story from one telling to the next is an obvious sign someone's probably not telling you the truth about what happened. Even a tiny, subtle little change can indicate they're lying. Inconsistencies in stories, like saying that they did something they logically would not have been done, it's a way to know they're lying as well. So if it doesn't make sense, that's another sign that they're lying. Number 3, they're giving away way too much information. People who are lying want you to believe what they're saying and don't want you to get suspicious. So sometimes they overdo it on details. People will give you a lot more details than what is necessary because they have fabricated such an intense lie that they need to tell you all the details of this lie because they've actually literally memorized the story. Sometimes if you come back and clarify or ask questions, they'll get totally tripped up. We've seen that many times when a politician, for example, is asked a question, and then they go into this long diatribe of an answer that doesn't really answer the question, but it's so many little things all in there, and it's kind of intriguing. You can almost tell it was rehearsed, but they never answer the original question. And so when they're called on it, they're just flummoxed and puzzled and get tripped up, as they said here. Number 4, they're giving way too little information. This is how you can tell someone is lying to you. They give way too little information. So the last one was too much, way too little. Saying too little is a sign they might be lying to you. Someone gives you very little information, very briefly answers questions, seems disinterested or disconnected. They don't want to get caught telling a falsehood because they don't have any details to share. Pretty good. Number 5, they do weird things with their eyes. A trained behavioral analysis says that blinking faster or slower than normal could be a sign that someone is lying, as can other eye changes. So if you're ever watching someone and they're talking to you and they suddenly just start doing this number with their eyes, they're lying to you. Or just the opposite. Sorry, that made my eyes water when I did that. Just the opposite. If they're like looking at you and they're doing very slow blinks, that's another sign. It should be so unnoticeable, your eyes blinking when you're talking to someone, that you don't even notice. Now you guys are all going to be watching this video. Is Jimmy fluttering his eyes? Is he going slow with his eyes? Don't psychoanalyze me. Changes in your eye contact also are important. Watch this, you guys. Many times people won't look you directly in their eye when they're lying to you. Now, when I do these Jimmy Rants, by the way, on the Instagram feed, I can't always do it here because I've got 3 cameras, but because I talk straight to the Instagram feed, I'm looking right at you guys, right there at that camera. And that's by design. I want you to feel like I'm trustworthy because I try to be trustworthy. But if I was to always be looking down and talking to you, would you believe what I say? Probably inherently no, because people that will look at you in your eyes are trustworthy. Now, sometimes I'll glance over to the side when I'm thinking, but most of the time I'm looking right at you guys. Or they will look you in the eye as staring in power play, and then when you meet their gaze, their eyes dart away from you. So if you're kind of looking to the side, but they're staring you down, they're looking at you, and then suddenly they look right at the person staring them, then they'll look away. That's a sign they're lying as well. Is this interesting information, guys? When I was reading this article, I'm like, we have so many circumstances in our lives where people lie to us, either in person or on the television. This is a good skill. I hope you kind of take down notes. I'll give you the URL to this article at the end so you can go look it up, but really, really good information. Number 6, they fake smile. Oh my gosh, please don't fake smile at me. And then immediately go back to the sad face. They're like, no, don't do that to me. That is a telltale sign. Something's not right. Did you know that it could also be a sign that someone is lying to you? In an interview with Business Insider, Mark Boughton is a longtime FBI agent. He said that when people truly smile, the skin around their eyes will wrinkle. So you get those little crow's feet around the eyes. But when it's fake, that skin hardly moves. So if you're fake, real. See the subtle difference? So don't let someone fake smile you. Oh my gosh. And I hate it when politicians pull this. When someone asks a hard question to them and their first inclination is to start laughing and smiling and acting like everything's fine, when they're like, oh shit, they're gonna ask me that question. Oh my god, shit, what am I gonna do? I don't know how to answer that question. It happens, guys. It does. Number 7, They can't remember the details. It can sometimes be difficult for people who are lying to answer any questions at all, especially super specific ones about their lie. If you're asking for more details and they can't seem to remember the decor of the restaurant that they claimed to eat in, or where in the mall the store is that they said they were shopping at, that's probably a sign they're not telling you the truth. So the details matter. If you said you were in the mall in some store, where was that store? Was it close to the Orange Julius? Right? Where was the food court compared to where the store was? Yeah. Interesting. Number 8, they get defensive. Oh, I hate it when someone gets defensive with me, because I'm like, why are you putting up a battle with me? I'm just asking questions. But they get defensive. If you ask someone a question, they immediately go on the defense and get all worked up about it. It's probably because they're lying. It's not a good sign at all. If someone's first reaction is a negative one, they're lying to you. I'm trying to think of any circumstance where someone would be defensive and not lying to you. Maybe if you accuse them of something that's just so preposterous, maybe. I don't know. Rachel said, oh man, I did a lot of fake smiling when I bartended. Yeah, I bet you did. Hello, stop calling me sweetie. I won't put spike in your punch if you... Yeah, I'm sure you have some stories to tell, Rachel. Number 9, their voice is a higher pitch. Interestingly enough, if you talk to someone and it sounds like their voice is a higher pitch than normal, it could be that they're lying. A person's voice is often higher when they're lying than when they're not. Good to know, right? So you guys hear my voice every single day. I'm in this kind of baritone voice that's my voice. I don't have a super low voice. I can go high, but I don't go super high when I talk. This is the voice. So if I suddenly started going a little bit higher, you would really notice if I was talking like this. Come on in, you guys. Welcome back to another Jimmy Rant. Yeah, it would be noticeable, right? And so that's kind of an interesting sign to look for. Listen for the higher pitch. Number 10, they don't ever use any I statements. Not using an I statement is one way to make it seem as though it's not you. You're not the one lying. It's about this other person, not you. In my research, I've discovered that when people fib about themselves, they tend to use I and me less often than people who are being truthful. According to Jeffrey Hancock, a professor of communication at Cornell, instead they'll speak about themselves in the third person. Oh my gosh, so those of you of a certain age, from the 1990s, the 1996 presidential candidate for the Republicans was Bob Dole. Bob Dole never said I. He always said, well, when Bob Dole becomes president, I'm like, you are Bob Dole. Just when I become president, why do you have to say your whole name? We know you're Bob Dole. Just say I. But he always did that. It was like, and people made fun of him about it. Bob Dole, well, yeah, you are Bob Dole, so you don't have to use the third person. You're the first, use the first person. Does that mean Bob Dole is lying to us? Number 11, they pause or hesitate when they don't need to. They pause or hesitate when they don't need to. Former CIA officer noted that unnecessary pauses or hesitations can be a sign you're being lied to. It's another way that you're stalling to figure out what to say next. They either divert your attention or they stall. That's kind of the theme song of the ones we've read so far. And it's interesting because I never stopped to think about cadence. Now, some people have funky cadence in the way they talk. You guys know because you watch me on camera every day. I talk and talk and talk and talk. And for a Southern boy, I actually talk really fast for a Southern boy. Most of us Southern boys, we're down here, we're good old boys. And we don't like to take things very fast, but I don't mind talking faster. That's just my jam. I've talked to so many people now. But pausing or hesitating could be a sign that you're being lied to. One last time, if you joined us late, we are talking about all these little subtle signs, lots of them here today on Jimmy Rants, that you might be being lied to. And it's good to know either in one-on-one conversations, or if you're watching someone on television and you're hearing them talk, you want to know if they're lying or not. These are some great tips, and we've got 34 of them, and we're up to number 12 now. They clear their throat a lot. When someone is clearing their throat, you know what that actually is? Other than they have a cold, or if they have like a sudden snot phlegm attack on their throat. When someone clears their throat a lot, that's actually a fight or flight stress response because they're lying. Fascinating, right? I never even thought about that. Sometimes clearing your throat is a necessity, so don't always jump to, oh, they cleared their throat, they're lying. Other times it's a giveaway. I think if someone's doing it excessively and in like weird times, and and they just do it like over and over and over, okay, you're kind of like going, okay, is that a stall tactic? So they can think of something. Well, yeah, I went to the, where did I go? I need to come up with something really good here. Store, and I got back and drove home. Like, it's like, you can tell that's what they're doing. And it'll become obvious now that you have this on your radar screen. Number 13, they use fewer emotional words. Listen to this one, you guys. When you're having a conversation with someone, it might not be all that unusual to incorporate things like angry into a discussion where it fits naturally. But when you're lying, it's less likely you'll use any emotional words. It might be that they're not feeling those things because it's fake. It's a lie. And if something is something that's emotional to someone, it will come out in the words that they use. So pay attention to the words someone uses, especially someone that claims to be upset. Are you hearing those upset words in their language? If you're not, they might be lying to you. Number 14, and this one won't apply to Jimmy Moore because he doesn't have any. They play with their hair. I guess I could play with my beard hair. Some people just naturally twirl their hair. So, like everything else on this list, it doesn't mean they're necessarily lying to you. But grooming behaviors such as playing with your hair or pressing your fingers to your lips could be a sign of deception. I wonder how that works. I wonder if it's just a physical manifestation of all that nervousness because they know they're lying. So if they're twisting their hair, yeah, so I went the other day, or pressing the lips. Kind of interesting. Again, with all of these things, it doesn't mean automatically that they're lying, but it does mean that it could be that. Number 15, they're super smooth. Don't always fall hook, line, and sinker for someone who is charming. It can go along with someone who is a very good liar and deceptor. A former robbery and homicide detective said, in some people, the charm is used to pull you in so that you will trust them, which can make it harder to tell when they're lying. This is where pathological liars are very good. They will charm the pants out of you. They will lie and deceive you and make you think all of these things about them. And then suddenly, whammo bammo, you see the true them. And by then, you're already in too deep. You've already entrusted them. So it's tough. And then once you get fooled by somebody like that, it's very hard to trust anybody. So it's interesting. We all have those people in our life that come across as very charming, come across as very trustworthy, and so you start trusting them. But look for these other signs that we're talking about here, because it's easy to fall into that. But if you go eyes wide open, maybe you can avoid falling victim to someone like that. Number 16, they're ready to cut and run. Unless the person lying to you is well versed in body language, if they're facing the door, look at this, you guys. If they face the door, they're trying to get away. So if you're in a conversation with someone and the door's over there, you're over here, they kind of turn their body away and you're talking to them, you want to get out of the situation, that could be a sign that they're lying and don't want to get caught lying. Number 17, as my cat has a hairball. Are you going to throw up everywhere so I have something to clean up after Jimmy Rants? Skunk has been throwing up everywhere lately. Are you okay? You're just spoiled rotten is what you are. Number 17, they add in a lot of superlatives. The use of a lot of unnecessary superlatives where they don't belong can indicate lying. If everything is just awesome, genius, exceptional, brilliant, then something might not add up. So you need to be careful. If you're one of those people that likes to use lots of superlatives, don't do that, because you might come across as disingenuous. You might come across as lying to people. Again, as with all the rest of these, doesn't necessarily mean it's definitely lying, but when someone uses those kinds of superlatives, it's usually because they're trying to hide something and they're lying. Number 18, they're fidgety, or they touch in their face a lot. Fidgeting, touching your face, pulling on a necklace, all of those and more can be nervous behaviors that could potentially mean someone is lying. That nervous energy has to go somewhere, and that's something to think about. If someone is lying, they're going to have this built-up nervous energy inside of them. So if you see someone like shaking a leg or just kind of and I'm one of those people, when I'm standing up, I rock. I know it drives some people crazy, people that rock. Now, it's not because I'm lying. It's just I do have lots of energy. And so, again, that could fool you if you think all that stuff that they're doing is simply because they're lying. So, but look for those signs that someone has this nervous energy, and it could be because they're lying. Number 19, their words and expressions don't match. When people are being truthful, what they're saying and feeling tend to match. If they're saying something happy, but they don't look happy on their face, it might not be true. So look for the action of the person to match the words they're saying. Yes, I'm having a great day today. Or, I'm so sad, my dog just died. It doesn't match, does it? But if you say, oh my gosh, I lost my job and I'm really sad. Now see, that matches, right? Look for those things. Number 20, their language goes negative. When people are lying in an email or on a cover letter or on resumes, they tend to use negative words like ashamed. Maybe it's because they're ashamed of the lie they just told you. So look for those signs as well. Somebody goes negative, usually means they're lying. They sound rehearsed, number 21. If the story sounds rehearsed, it might be because they're fibbing about what they're telling you. An assistant principal named Julia Chung said that kids come into her office sounding rehearsed all the time. They have an answer for everything. If they have an answer for everything, that's usually a sign that they're lying. There are people that have an answer for literally everything. Meaning they try to come up with something. Now, obviously, I don't know, or no is an answer, but it's more honest to say I don't know or no to something than to try to BS an answer. Are kids really good at that? Like some kids are. Some kids will give you that rehearsed answer no matter what the topic is. Number 22, they change after telling the truth. Watch carefully how they act after they say something that you know is true. If their behavior changes, it could indicate that they're lying. It's really about how to observe very carefully. If you know how they normally respond to things, it's so much easier to determine if they change. So that's the key. When you're having conversations with people, and you don't want to test them and get neurotic about it, but ask things that you absolutely know are true to see when they answer truthfully, how do they act? What do they say? How does it come across? What are their facial expressions? All the everything. Are they twirling their hair? All that stuff. Then ask a question, and if anything changes from what that norm is, then you know you've probably caught them in a lie. Number 23, they aren't speaking in full sentences. UCLA researchers found that this is probably a sign of deception. Not wanting to go. Okay, so you're not wanting to go. Go where? Like, they would just start speaking incomplete sentences. That could be a sign of lying. 24. They're moving their mouth or jaw around a lot, just like the clearing your throat one. This is also linked to your body's fight or flight response. Moving your jaw back and forth can stimulate a salivary gland production, which you need if your throat went dry because you were lying. So interesting. Physiologically, when you're lying, they say that that dries your throat out. So that's why clearing your throat probably comes in. And they say moving your jaw. Now, I have TMJ. You guys might see me like move it around a little bit because it's been hurting a lot lately. So I do the little clicking of the jaw from time to time. Doesn't mean I'm lying to you. It just means I got TMJ. But other people, they will move that back and forth, and that promotes a salivary response because their throat is dry from lying. And in fact, my throat's dry. I'm not lying, but my throat is dry. So that's an interesting sign as well. Number 25. They answer your questions by bringing up more questions for you. A veteran police officer said that answering a question with another question is a huge red flag, that they might be lying. They're trying to shift the focus of the conversation. Literally, when somebody asks you a question, if you ask a question in response without answering the original question, you do look like you're being deceptive. You do look like you're trying to hide something. And so if people answer your question with another question, I would always go, okay, can you answer my question? I'll be happy to talk about your question, but what's the answer to my question? And again, we see this often within the political realm, where questions are answered with questions, and it doesn't help anybody. Number 26, they use specific words or phrases. Oh, listen to this. Are they saying things like, well, as far as I know? That could be a sign that they're lying. They're qualifying their denials and making them more specific because that's literally all they can do. So if they use something that's going to negate anything they say, that's a very specific and deliberate word and phrase choice. They're lying. Pay attention to these things, guys. When you absorb all that I'm sharing with you here today and you start having conversations, I don't want you to get neurotic about it and try to see if everybody who talks to you is lying. I would test it on people that just to kind of see how it works. I would watch people on television that are doing interviews and see if you notice any of these things we're talking about here today. Number 27, they try to change the subject on you. Changing the subject is easy for people who are lying to want to do because it takes the heat off of them. If you're talking about something else, you can't focus as much on the lie that was just told you, and there's less of a chance you'll immediately figure it out. So if you're having a conversation with them and then they change the subject, all right, okay, we're on the new subject, and then it's forgotten. 28, they keep telling you that I'm telling the truth to you. If they have to vigorously defend the fact that they're telling you the truth, it might actually be because they're not telling you the truth. People who are lying use statements like, well, as God is my witness, to try to convince you that they're trying to be honest. But if they actually were honest, they wouldn't have to try so hard. I'll put my hand on the Bible. I would kill my firstborn child. Like all those people that do that kind of stuff. It's kind of morbid, the last one, but like I know people that do that. Well, as God is my witness, I swear. I swear on my mother's grave. We've had people like that. Number 29, they start moving backwards away from you. Moving or leaning backwards is a sort of cue that you're uncomfortable or don't like the lie that you're telling. It might be making you nervous or anxious, or you might just feel a little bit upset. If someone is leaning away from you when they're talking to you, you might want to think more critically about what they're saying in that moment. So that's interesting as well. Even like a subtle, like moving back from you as they're talking, that can give off a signal to you that maybe what they're saying in that moment may not always be 100% true. Number 30, their breathing changes. If someone is lying to you, you might notice that they start to breathe more heavily. If it's a change from how they were breathing before, take note. Now, if someone's telling an emotional story, sometimes that will also invoke breathing heavier. So it's not always across the board true. But if they are lying and they're not in an emotional story, but they're breathing heavier, they could be signaling to you that they're lying. Number 31, they get emotional over the smallest of questions you ask them. An emotional reaction to little questions means that they're probably lying. They don't want to be found out, and if you start asking questions, you could figure it out. Just, oh, so how'd you meet? Why are you asking that? Because it could be a lie that they're telling. How'd you meet? Oh, I don't want to tell you. Go away. People get upset. 32, we got 3 more. They're standing perfectly still. So you're talking to them and they're not moving a single muscle in their body. Yeah, nothing's conspicuous about being still. Maybe they don't even blink and they're just going to stare at you and stare at you and stare at you and be totally a mannequin. Please pay attention to what I'm saying, because if you suspect I'm lying, I'm dead meat. Oh, crap. Right? While fidgeting sometimes indicates someone's lying to you, the opposite is exactly opposite is true. Some unconscious movement during conversations comes naturally. It just happens. So if the person you're talking to is so still, they look like they're a mannequin, could be a sign they're not telling you the truth. 33, they keep repeating certain words. Repeating words or phrases could be a stall tactic, or it could be a sign that they're trying to convince themselves that the lie they're telling is actually the truth. So, yeah, I mean, we've seen people that do that. They'll be like, yes, yeah, yes, oh, yes, yeah, yes, yes. Okay, I got it the first time you said yes. You didn't have to say it 7 or 8 times. Keep repeating certain words. That is kind of creepy. Although some people have that in their kind of tics about how they talk. I wonder if it's like people like to use da-da-da-da-da, or like. I don't know. Does that qualify? Like some people, that's just their tic. That's just how they speak. Doesn't necessarily mean they're lying. And then the last one, number 34, they make micro expressions. So if you can talk to someone without a mask on, you can see all the expressions on their face. Micro expressions, which just flash ever so briefly across a person's face, can be hard to spot. But if you spot them, it might mean that the person you're talking to is trying to deceive you. There used to be this TV show that I used to love to watch called Lie to Me. I don't know if it's on Netflix or one of the places that you can watch, but Lie to Me was all about this. They had basically facial expression experts, and they'd be watching someone on television, and they would like pause it right at this micro expression, and then they'd psychoanalyze what the micro expression meant, and from there they would say, well, that indicates remorse, and so, oh, did he kill the suspect? And so anyway, it was a great show, Lie to Me. I think it was on for a couple of seasons, 2-3 seasons, and it went away. But really, really good show. But micro expressions say a lot. You can learn how to see them better. Most people don't see them, but if you pay attention and now you know that they exist, you can look for them. If you learn how to see them, you might be better at spotting someone who is lying to you. So guys, that is all these signs. Once again, this is from romper.com, romper.com. If you do a search of the title, 34 little signs someone is lying to you, because you'll definitely get lied to at some point. Lauren Shoemaker is the author. It was from a couple of years ago. This was written, but fantastic article. I just thought with everything we deal in our lives, if we could figure out people lying to us and how they're doing it, even subtly, that could really save a lot of people a lot of heartache and pain. And it's applicable in your everyday world with the people you know face to face. It's applicable when you watch someone on TV. It's applicable in just about every area of your life. So I hope this was really interesting information for you. I like to bring you practicality, and I thought today was pretty darn practical because we've all been lied to in our lives. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. We're going to come here first to Instagram, then over to Facebook, finally over to YouTube. Thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is a website, and as always, while you're there, go support my work. If you like what I do here and the myriad of topics, definitely click on the Patreon link or the PayPal link, and a donation of any amount would be greatly appreciated. Bonnie has the first comment. At times, with my autistic child or an adult, not knowing that they have one symptom is not looking in the eyes. People assume they may be lying, but they aren't. Just pointing that out. It's a great topic. Thank you. Yes, anybody that's like an autistic child or would have some other kind of brain neurodegenerative type of thing going on, I don't think any of these things apply. Tourette syndrome would not apply. Even someone I think that might, I don't know what role ADD and ADHD would have on this, but I would assume some of the manifestations of those things as well would probably negate a lot of these things I talked about. But we're talking about average everyday people that don't have those tics involved. So thank you for the caveat though, Bonnie. I really appreciate that. Cass says, this is a very awesome topic today. Yes, thank you. I thought it was really intriguing. Rachel says, I had a childhood friend that lied through her teeth, big or small, lied about everything for seemingly no reason. Rachel, I have a theory as to why a kid lies so much. I think it's a coping mechanism for trauma. Now, I know I've been head deep in childhood trauma because I've been looking at my own, and I'm also kind of doing recon work for a potential book that I might write about childhood trauma. But I think people that become really good liars when they're young, literally about everything, it's almost as if it's a coping mechanism for something they've gone through in their life. An abusive parent, being told they're not good enough, maybe neglect. This is just an area of their life where they have power. And if they can learn to lie and be good at it, then they use that power and they feel more empowered, where they haven't had that reinforcement from their parents and from people in their lives. So that's my theory as to why there are some kids like that. Usually when someone is hurt when they're young like that, they end up hurting others either through lying, through becoming a bully. Most bullies are abused at home as well. So yeah, that's kind of my theory as to why your friend was that way. I sure hope you do write a book on childhood trauma so many people can relate and have healing reading your story. Thank you, Bonnie. I announced on Jimmy Rants on Friday on the Ask Me Anything that is my goal. I do want to write it. I did talk about how I pitched it to my publisher, and they pretty much told me to take a hike. So if I do it, it will be a self-published book, which you guys know me. I mean, my name's out there enough now. I've written 7 books with them. So I think I have name recognition that I could sell it on my own, but it does add a few more complexities to writing a book when you have to do it on your own. But that's okay. We're going to work on some of those things, but still working through some personal issues right this moment. But if come out the other end of that, and 2021 is a bright light for me to start working on that. I do love to write. I do think I have a story to tell. I do think I have an ability to communicate it and communicate it well. So stay tuned, Bonnie. You guys here on Jimmy Rants will be the first to know. All right, thank you, Instagram. Let me pop over here now to my Facebook channel, see what you guys have to say. Marcella also repeated what we saw over on YouTube. Sign number 1, their lips are moving. Yes, that is definitely for politicians and lawyers, used car salesmen. Their lips are moving. Marcella also says, fake smile is a Southern thing. Hi, what you talking about? We smile. We'll just say, bless your heart. Bless your heart. And this is like, bless your heart and a big fake smile. We're just, yeah. We hate your guts, yeah. Bless your heart. Bless your heart. Howdy. Not all Southerners are that way, but there are some. I will give you that. Marcella says autistic people tend to be fidgety. Yeah, again, autism, I think, changes the game with some of the things I talked about in this article. Really any kind of neurodegenerative and behavioral types of things, we can't really put them in this category. But yes, you're right. They do come across as less trustworthy because of that fidgetiness. All right, thank you, Facebook. Let's pop over here now to YouTube, see what you guys have to say. I saw a lot of these during the one of the political things recently. Yes, that happens. Just figured out my wife is a lying crap. Whoa, dude. I thought I was good looking. It was all a lie. So you saw some lies, some signs of lying. Oh, honey, you're so handsome. And the fluttering eyes. Oh, that's funny. You guys are too much sometimes. So guys, now you have these subtle signs to look for in someone that you suspect is lying right to your face. This is invaluable information. It's the kind of stuff I love sharing with you because this is practical. Like, you watched this today. You may need to rewatch it. Definitely go download the article and read it for yourself and learn these signs. Because when you encounter someone who's lying to you, I guess the question then becomes, okay, you discover someone's lying to you. How do you call them out on it without, I guess, embarrassing them or what? Maybe it also lets you evaluate, okay, do I want to keep this person in my life? Now, obviously, if they're a family member, they have to keep you in your life. But if it's just a friend or what you thought was a friend, maybe it makes you reassess the situation. I will tell you this, if someone lies to you, you don't give them any extra information than they need. Because they can use it against you. If they lie, if they're lying to your face, what would stop them from lying to you about talking about you to someone else with the information you share? I think once someone proves they're not being trustworthy with you, they've lost the trust, they've lost the right and ability for you to share your life with them. Like I said, this friend I talked to this morning, we both trust each other so inherently, wouldn't even think about betraying that person and vice versa. You need people like that in your life. But the inverse of that is people who will lie to you. Like Rachel was saying, she had that friend that always lied about big and small things. At some point, Rachel, when that friend was always lying about big and small things, how do you know what the truth is? Is the truth just your own fantasy world of what you think it is? I don't know. That's an interesting little world to live in. But hopefully this was educational for you here today. And that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And as always, you can engage live in the content. Go follow me right here. I'm on Instagram at Living Low Carb Man, LivinLowCarbMan. Once you're there, we are here Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So thanks so much for being here today. We also simulcast on Facebook and YouTube. Check out the replay. If you missed the live, you can watch it on IGTV. Right as soon as this is over, we will put it right up on Instagram. A few little notes there, and then you can watch the replay there pretty much at your disposal. You can also watch the replay over on YouTube. Just type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, pop on over to the official website for this show. It is JimmyRants.com. While you're there, this is episode 600. So if you're brand new to the show, I got a ton of content for you to go check out over at JimmyRants.com. That's also where you can show your support for my work. Click on the Patreon link or the PayPal link, and a donation of any amount would be greatly appreciated. All right, guys, that's it for now. We will be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern with more Jimmy Rants, and we'll see you then.